Go. Hello and welcome back for another episode of Show Off Your CI/CD Pipeline. And today I'm here with Nayan. Nayan, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Looking forward to it. Yeah, Johannes.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, so originally I am from India. Right now I am in USA, the States. So I am working as a architect, cloud architect with Go Cloud. And I also have a little bit of experience as a cloud engineer back in India. So I enjoy working around with the cloud, and I also enjoy integrating the solution with the cloud. So definitely, I enjoy both sides of the cloud, technical as well as the business transformation it provides.
And you are, as I am, a community builder, right? So,
Oh yeah,
so
definitely not to forget that.
when did you join the program?
So I recently joined the program, and I had no clue like I will be get selected for one, because I just wanted to be part of the community builder, because I know you can meet a lot of people like yourself. So I only meet you through community builder. So there are a lot of people I met over the Slack and like over the LinkedIn, just by sharing like I'm a community builder. So definitely it gives you a kind of group that can help you to grow as a person and also learn about the cloud technology.
Yeah, and I agree. So I've been in the program for more than a year now, and I hope that I get renewed now this year. I have not yet received my confirmation about that, right? But for
Yeah.
me, it's been an amazing possibility and an amazing journey as part of the builders already. And I think the more that you get into it, the more you will learn about how to network as well and how to start sharing knowledge. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
exciting.
definitely.
And it's, yeah, for me, really cool to have you today because we're going to talk about something that I have also regularly used. So, what are we going to talk about?
So today we're gonna talk about continuous integration and continuous development, that is CI/CD pipeline. And just to mention, we will be using Jenkins, we'll be using Docker engine, we'll be using Amazon Elastic Container Registry, and we'll also be using Amazon ECS for deployment of our images.
Cool. That means we're going to have a Java application that is being deployed, or what kind of language are we going to use?
Definitely, we will be using Java application. So we have a web app that is built in the Java, and we'll be building it using Maven. And then, so for this project, like I am not including SonarQube and like SonarGate. Like you can make it as complex as possible, not as complex, I would say, as efficient as possible in your CI/CD process. But again, just to keep everything simple, I just came up with this project, which is like straightforward, simple, contain all the necessary tools to give you a basic, more than basic understanding of how CI/CD works. So anyone who will be like, new to the CI/CD, wanted to get on a project, like just to get a hands-on experience of CI/CD. So definitely this is the one to go.
Okay, cool. That sounds like a great start for people that want to get started. So let's you and me also get started. So I'm gonna please go ahead and start sharing the screen so we can start looking at your stuff.
Oh yeah. All right. So first of all, I'll say what we will be doing. So as developer commits a code over here in our pipeline in the GitHub repository, the Jenkins gonna fetch it and it gonna build an image from there. And after the images get built, we will push it to the ECR. So this will be the first phase that we will be doing, and then we'll go over to the console, deploy it, and then in the next stage of the pipeline, we'll automate it, like how we can automate the deployment of the image that we have created. So this is the basic project and which we'll be using, and I'll also give you a glance over how our file look like. So
And I can see that,
this,
and I can see that
yeah.
you have written a blog post around that, right? So we can share that later in the job
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the show notes as well, so people can then also read and review what you did over here. Cool,
Oh yeah,
great.
definitely.
So yeah, what's the next steps? What did you want to look at next?
Yeah, so next, this is all the steps, why we do need it, and the implementation. So I have included all the necessary documents, what will be the flow of execution of our pipeline, how we can implement it, why we need to set up webhook, and all that stuff. So this is all the steps that you can go through. And I have also included like the screenshot shots of it, like how you can achieve it, right? So again, I'll just go over the code and I'll show you what I am doing right here. So okay, so this is our source code. Again, you don't need to go very deep into it, right over here. This is the source code. This is basically, if you are working as a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer in the initial phase, you want need to know the uh, like the details of the project, but you need to be aware of the infrastructure side of the project, like how you can build it, how you can deploy it, what are the dependencies that are needed in order to build the project. So that will be again,
So
yeah, yeah, good.
this part is usually what is developed in your world by the development team, right? So
Yeah,
the developers, software engineers that actually build the application software,
yeah.
they hand over that part of the project to you. Is that right? What I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. You only need to use their code, that the application that they have developed in your code. So that's you will be doing as a lot of, like, as a cloud engineer, as a DevOps engineer. But again, it depends from company to company, organization to organization. A lot of DevOps also involved in writing the code, building the application, and also deploying it. So it completely depends on like how what your roles are. But mostly you won't be like writing the code from the scratch. You will be getting it from the developer.
Okay, cool. So and then you have this is the source part, and then you
Yeah,
have the Jenkins file and the POM.
yeah. So this is the Jenkins file is also very simple. I'll just go through the Jenkins file. What we are doing, I'll just increase the font so maybe it will be much clear. All right. So what we got here? So we have multiple stages. Okay. And there are multiple stage. So I'll go over everything. So let's start from the environment. So what is environment? So environment is basically, and you can also add on, because definitely you have a lot more experience in CI/CD. So you can just add on whatever you like while I'm explaining. So these are the environment variable that we will be using throughout our stages in order to deploy our application, and it is very important. So I have defined registry credential, and now you will be wondering, okay, you have given a tag something where it is stored, right? Where it is. So it is all stored in Jenkins. I have stored it in a Jenkins configuration. So all our password and all the secrets key and everything, I stored it in a Jenkins, and we'll also see that. Okay, so then I have mentioned the registry name, registry endpoint, what will be our cluster name, because we'll be using ECS, so we need to deploy a cluster. And then we also need to mention a service. So I would say look as a service as a ASG. So within the ECS, you can look service as a ASG, which which will make sure how you can deploy your application. It will make sure the number of tasks that you want it is running, and it will make sure your application is using the task definition you have created. So again, you need to read about ECS in order to just a little bit, like, just get a familiarity of ECS, what ECS is, how it works. So that would be helpful while using it. Okay. All right. So So to explain you, the first stage, we have the build step image over here. So what it is doing is docker.build is a command that will build our image. And from where it is building? It is building from the same repository in the Docker files we have over here. I'll show you that
Can
also.
we have
So
a
we have
short look? Yeah.
I'll just open it side by side. So that would be easier for us. Okay. So this is our Docker file. So our web application that we are using, it will be using Tomcat, right? So in order to do that, we need to define what type of environment we will be using. So over here, I have first we need Maven. All right. So in the Docker file, I have defined we will be using OpenJDK because we will need Java to run the Maven. So you can from the Docker you can import you can use OpenJDK as a build image, and then after it you update the environment that you have installed and also install the Maven. So what it is doing is when you run this command install Maven, it's gonna build the artifact of your code that you can deploy.
Okay, but this then requires you to have the POM file written correctly,
Oh,
right? So,
oh yeah.
yeah.
Most important thing, without the POM file, you cannot make an artifact using Maven. So POM file is very, very important. So I'll also pull up the POM file just to give you an, so it contain all the details about like how your code is written and like all the dependencies that you're gonna need. However, if you want to read code, I'll just like pull up the link. So this is the links where you can learn more about the POM file within the Maven. So it is like the most fundamental unit of the work, and it is called Project Object Model or
I think,
PO.
yeah, I think the most important pieces here for the audiences that is interested in CI/CD is that the POM
Yeah,
file is an essential part of the CI/CD pipeline in this case,
yeah,
right? As we are
yeah,
triggering specific parts of the POM file, right?
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
could bring up the Docker file again. So I don't want
yeah,
to look in the POM file details, but the Docker file over there,
yeah,
it specifies in line number 4, right? We're going to
yeah,
run Maven install, right?
yeah,
And that Maven install command is then going to build a WAR file, right? Because
yeah,
you have in your POM file defined that
yeah.
install is going to create a WAR file, right? And
Yeah,
that's, I think,
definitely.
that's the important pieces, right? That the audience,
That's the most important piece.
yeah.
Yeah. You put all the good information right here. Yeah. So definitely form file is very important for us.
And then you can also consider, right, at the end that the POM is a black box for you. You don't need
Yeah.
to know the details. You
Oh yeah,
yeah, okay.
definitely. Yeah, that's what I also wanted to mention. You don't need to know all the details while using CI/CD because definitely you will be getting help. Like you will be collaborating with your developers to get the details that you want. So
Yeah.
you don't need to worry about everything that you are doing in the CI/CD. Just have a good understanding of okay, this piece is why we required, so that you can get it through you while troubleshooting anything.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So once, okay, so I'll just tell you. So once we have built the image of our source code, so I have defined over here. So git clone. So it is cloning our repository, and then we are going into the folder where it is located, and then we are running Maven install. So it's gonna build an artifact. After that, what we are doing is we are deploying that artifact into the Tomcat server. All right. So this is the most important piece that you need to know about. So by default, whenever you install any Tomcat for any Tomcat server, it will have this location, all right, as a default. So you always need to make sure that you remove any defaults that it has, right? And then, okay, once you run Maven install, it will always create your var file in the target folder. Always remember that. So this is what we needed, and we'll be copying this in a place over here,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. So that's what I did. So I have copied our vProfile v2.vr over here as a root.var. So this is what our application will be using. And then again, we have exposed our Tomcat application, the Java application that we are using on 8080 because Tomcat runs on 8080. So this is also one of the things that you need to be
So that's where
careful.
you are exposing the port at the end, right? So
Yeah,
they can
that's
then, yeah, okay.
yeah, and then you can run this command to run your Tomcat. Again, this, so where this come from? Well, it come from the Docker registry. So they will give you a detailed ex- uh, uh, process of how you can use the different servers, different environment that you wanted to use. So that's why I am using it. But again, Johannes, if you wanna add on something over here, you can add it.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So this is our Docker file that we are using over here in our Jenkins. So it is building image from the Docker file that we have written, right? And once your Docker file is built, it gonna upload the image into the AWS registry, the Amazon ECR registry that we have created. So this is what it is doing. So we are pushing that build number and the image into the registry. After that, this, like, we have, till now we have built the image, till now we have pushed the image into the ECR. And the last stage would be deploying our ECH, the
Before
image that we have created.
before we
Yeah,
go there, why are we here pushing it with the
yeah,
build number and with the latest tag?
yeah. So you could always know what is the image, what is the image tag. You need to assign a tag or a number for your build so that you can track down, okay, this is the image, or maybe you can roll back if the image is not working correctly, if there is any problem. So just to have a good understanding of your build or the image that you have created for tracking it. So that is why you always need the build number as well as the latest tag, so that whoever looking at the image can know about it. Okay, this is the build number which we have initiated right now, and this is the latest image.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. So this means at this stage, we are going to take the container image that we built in the previous stage, and we are
Yeah,
then going to push it to our Docker registry.
definitely.
Does this make does it make the application directly updated or not yet?
Not yet, not yet. We are still not, we are still halfway there. We still
Okay.
need to deploy the image that we have uploaded.
Okay.
Yeah, so for that, we have the last stage, which is pushing our image into, or uploading our image, deploying our image into the ECS that we have created, like the environment in which our, or the container service in which we will be running our application. So this will be the last stage in which our application will be deployed.
Okay, cool. And this is now where we are going to push our stuff directly to the AWS service as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is what we will be required in order to implement, in order to deploy our image.
Okay.
It's quite straightforward, but however, like uh, uh, in the production, you will be having multiple stages, a lot of stages, a lot of different tools install, like created into your Jenkins file. You will have SonarQube, then you will have 45, a lot of them. Like it's endless. You can make it as lengthy and as uh, based on your necessity. You can make it the way you want.
Okay, how would you do that for your organization, right? I think for your organization, you would be having multiple stages here that have additional steps included, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. So
okay.
it completely depends on like how mature the DevOps technology within your organization is, and depending on that, you will be deploying it. Maybe still, I would say, still I have seen a lot of organization still perform testing manually.
Mhm.
Yeah. So again, but yeah, and yeah,
That's
go ahead.
unfortunately true. Yeah.
Yeah.
One additional question on line number 38. You are including credentials. Where do they come from? Is this something? Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, I am including credential, and in the I told you about the environment, right? We will be using throughout our stage.
Mhm.
So in the I am getting this AWS cred from the Jenkins, right? I have included AWS creds in the Jenkins, which I'll show you in few minutes. So I have included it, like it is getting it from the Jenkins engine, where
Okay.
I have already mentioned our AWS credential.
Cool.
And yeah, it is required in order to, like, this is the step which we need to perform even if we push it from our AWS CLI.
Cool. So this is the credentials that we're getting from the Jenkins credentials store that we
Oh
see up
yeah,
down there, right? So
definitely.
this is now a Jenkins file, right? So in other recordings that I did, right, we then had GitHub Actions executing the commands that we have. What do you need
Yeah.
to execute the Jenkins file that we see on the screen?
Yeah, so in order to execute a Jenkins file, the only thing that you need to do is in your Jenkins, you need to define the path for the Jenkins file. That's all. Besides that, you don't need to do anything in your pipeline. Just define the path where your Jenkins file is located, and your Jenkins server will fetch the Jenkins file from your source code repository, and it will run all the stage, like all the multiple stages. So you don't need to do a lot of things. Just define the things that we have created, our source code repository in your pipeline. That's it. That's it. Nothing else you need to do. So like, you are seeing like how fast it became when we have our process setup. You don't need to go to the console to set up everything. It's just one time process that you need to take care of, and then everything becomes automated.
Cool. So let's stop sharing the screen and then we can move over to kind of a short wrap up. So
Yeah.
from from what we have seen in the project today, we are assuming that we already have the infrastructure set up, right? So this means
Yeah.
that the ECR repository is there. We also assume that the service has been already created, and you are now coming into an existing service that you want to be updating through a Jenkins file. We have
Yeah.
seen the Jenkins file, which uses Maven to build a Java-based application into Docker, right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
is then actually going to be used to update the service later. Nayan, I
Yeah.
think you also have some blog posts around how to set up your Jenkins instance and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll share it with you so that anyone who want to like implement it, because a lot of people who are getting new into the CI/CD, I think this is the perfect project for them, because it is not very complex. Because CI/CD can get very complex, and it's very hard for people to like even build a small project if it's get too complicated. So that's the main reason why I have only included 3 stages, and I can also share the location where you can go and find the blog post.
Yeah, that would be cool. So I can add them that to the show note. And I think you are executing unit tests as well as part of your Maven build, right?
Yeah, definitely. So within all, yeah, that is also a good point. Within the Maven, you can also you can also do a unit testing. But again, it depends how people want to use Maven. A lot of people just use it for uh, creating artifacts.
Okay.
A lot of people also use it for using a unit testing. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And you could then expand at the moment you have 3 steps, right, in your Jenkins file. You could
Yeah.
potentially now, if you want to deploy this to another region, right, you could have another step where you just change
Yeah.
the region name of what we
Yeah.
have seen in your Jenkins file.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Was this, by the way, the first recording that you did as a community builder, or was it the second one already?
Could you repeat your question? Your voice got break. Yeah.
Of course. Was this the first recording that you did as a community builder?
Oh yeah, this is the first time I am recording as a community builder, and it is fun, like getting on with a call with you, thank you again for your time also, and being able to like showcase, okay, this is what I am building and this is what I'm interested in, and definitely I would love to help people and also learn from people like who are also interested in the same kind of area. So yeah, it's fun. It's my first time. I enjoyed it, and definitely I'll also include a little. I'll make it more sophisticated. Like I'll also add, I would say Sonar Cube, Sonar Gate, so that way, and also the Slack notification. That is also very important. If your build get failed, so the developer needs to be get notified. Okay, sir, you need to go and look into your development, your file, because there is something wrong with your code. So that is also the part of the stage you can include. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Where can people find more about you, Nayan? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Mastodon, wherever?
Yeah. So the best way to reach out to me is to the LinkedIn. I am active on LinkedIn. So I'll share the link of my LinkedIn that people can reach out to. It's just Nayan Shivhare. You can find me on the top of the search bar, because I am kind of very active on LinkedIn. So definitely you can find me very easily just by typing my first and last name.
Cool. Awesome. So let me add the link to the show note as well. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you would like to share with the audience?
I think as of now, that's all. I would say when you will be building this, there would be at least 8 to 9 times you will fail your build, and that is very normal, right? You are like, I have seen people failing at least like 40 to 50 times also. I've seen that. Like, oh yeah, it happens there,
Yeah.
because there could be a lot of things that could go wrong, so you need to learn how to troubleshoot it,
Yeah.
because there could also be a possibility of the Docker engine not having like the Jenkins engine not having permission to access the Docker engine, which is installed on your EC2. So, like, yeah.
And the good thing is that even as an experienced person, right, you will see failures, right? And it's really,
Definitely.
it is also fun to see failures. And then you just need to try to understand the root cause and move on, right? And that's what makes our job unique. It changes regularly and daily, right? And sometimes even if
Definitely.
you did not change something, right, the computer still decides to behave different, and that's also what happens,
Definitely.
right?
Oh yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
Nayan.
That
Thank you
that
so
can
much.
that can keep on happening. So
That's
that's
true.
a good point you have added. Like, you have a lot of experience and you also see this kind of failure. So definitely for the new beginner in the CI/CD, it's part of the process. That's what they need to keep in mind, I would say.
Yep, that's true, Nayan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. Was a pleasure to talk to you, and yeah, I hope that we collaborate more in the future. Wish you a great first year as a community builder, and I hope that you enjoy being part of this community.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Johannes. I'll definitely looking forward to collaborate again with you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Take care.